For the past 2 weeks, we have been talking about the number one, number two, number three killers and the rest. And we have identified the things that we know are harmful to our health. And we have identified behaviors in our diet and our lifestyle, in our physical activity that we should do to help us live longer. But this afternoon, I would like to introduce to you to the concept of good stewardship. A steward is a person whose job is to manage the land and property of another person. Now, I have a question. Who owns the world? Who is the owner of the world? God. And we are the stewards. So if you are the steward, you are going to manage it in such a way that you can say that, Lord, this is what you have given to me and I present this to you. That we can present it to God as much as beautiful as it can be, although we have known that for years it has suffered a lot of destruction. And as good stewards, we throw our garbage in the proper places, because if we don't, we know that it will cause environmental problems. But that's easy for us to do. Internationally, one of the greatest concerns today is global warming. It causes melting of polar ice, severe storms, major shifts in ecosystems, because changes in temperature will determine if a certain species will migrate, a certain species would not survive, and of course it contributes to extreme weather. And everyone in the world is concerned about global warming. And if you ask a question, what are the top 3 gases that are responsible for global warming? It's the 3 gases that is flashed in the screen. It's carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. Methane is and nitrous oxide is especially problematic because they cause more trapping of heat in our atmosphere at 20 times and 300 times respectively. If you ask the question, what contributes most to the greenhouse gases? What would be your answer? Can I hear some answers? No? Cars? Factories? Okay. Anywhere around the world, if you ask people what's the greatest contributor to greenhouse gases, it's all the same answers. It's the cars, it's the trains, it's the planes, and all the industries that we have around. And I will make it a bit easier. Let's have a multiple choice. Which one contributes more to global warming? And I will give you a clue. It is not the one that starts the car. The contributor to most of the greenhouse gases, according to the United Nations in 2006, is the livestock sector at 18% compared to just 13% of the transport. It means the chickens, the pigs, the cows, the turkeys, all of them in their farms is causing 18% of the greenhouse gases that we have in our world today. Much higher than transport. When it comes to methane, they contribute 37% of the world's methane. And for nitrous oxide, it's 65%. These are United Nations numbers. And as I've said, it's problematic because these 2 gases are more powerful than carbon dioxide when it comes to trapping heat in the atmosphere. However, just a few years later, after that report, they made more research, and the World Bank Environmental Advisors found that the real number is not just 18%, it's 51%. Imagine, just think of all the cars in the world. You think of all the planes in the world. You think of all the ships in the world, all the trains in the world, and you multiply all of that by 3, and that is still not enough to be able to say that meat is not the number one cause of greenhouse gases. It's even if you multiply it by 3, it will not equal to the amount of greenhouse gases that the livestock sector is causing our environment. When we think of hunger, around 900 million of people in the world do not have enough food to eat, while 40% of all the food in the world is being fed to the poor people. Is that what it says? No, 40% of all the food in the world is going to the farm animals that we love to eat. And so the United Nations commented, it is depressing to consider that throughout the big famine in Ethiopia, that country was exporting desperately needed soy to Europe to feed the farm animals. And the same relationship holds true today between Latin America and the United States. You see, these poor countries have soy as their products, and they cannot harvest it and take it to provide for the poor people in their country. They have to export it to the countries that raise all the livestock to be exported to all the other countries that demand it, and that includes the Philippines. So it's simple. If you want to decrease the demand for meat so that it could be diverted to the poor people in these poor countries, you have to cut off and limit your intake of the said food items from the livestock. We say, stop cutting trees. Who agrees to that? Okay, a lot of you. This is a nice picture of a forest. But unfortunately, this forest is now just a picture, because 70% of the Amazon rainforest is now used for cattle ranches and feed the crops to the remainder. So it has been flattened down so that they could provide space for the farms, space for the crops to feed the farm animals. That was the map more than 50 years ago, and today it's just that small. A lot of it has been deforested so that we can have more farms. According to the United Nations, 70% of all the agricultural lands in the world belongs to the animal agriculture, and 30%, just 1/3 of the world's land mass is now occupied by all these industries. And they suspected that this livestock agriculture is the biggest cause of slashing and burning of the world's forest. You see, 1/3 of the world's mass, that's about the size of Asia, the whole Asia. And you see how that's too big. You see, they have included in their calculations, of course, the factories, all the lands that are used to grow the soy and all the wheat that's needed to feed these animals. It includes all the other city facilities that is occupied of anything that is related to this meat industry. And that land mass is more than all the land area in the moon. And so they commented, raising animals for food is one of the top 2 or 3 most significant contributors to the most serious environmental problems at every scale, from local to global. They say every scale because it goes to the problem with hunger, with land pollution, with the deforestation, and water pollution. It encompasses all those problems. We say, save water. And in our homes, one of the most your toilet actually is the one that consumes a lot of water. Even our efficient toilets today can uses up to 1.3 or 1.28 gallons per flush. But do you know that just 1 kilo of a beef would cost 5,000 gallons to produce? Yeah, 5,000 gallons. How come? Because your cows have to drink water, and the farms that where they grow need water to operate. And cows don't just drink water; they have to eat food, and so you have to raise wheat for them, and that consumes also water. And finally, to process your meat, it uses a lot of water. Added all together, on average, 1 kilo is to 5,000 gallons. So if you would compare it to flushing a toilet, that's like flushing your toilet all the time, all day long. It's about the same amount of water you use for taking a bath for 1 year. 1 kilo of beef. So what are you willing to do to save the planet? You want to be a climate defender? You want to stop hunger? Then I think you know the answer. Aside from avoiding these items for your health, it is also for the good of our environment, so that you don't have a part in global warming, in deforestation, and waste of land and water. Your diet could bring to you diseases. The items that are found in your plate can actually cause death by starvation to these poor countries. You don't know them, but your actions that you do here affects them, even if they are thousands of miles away from you. And ultimately, your diet could cause the very destruction of our planet. God said in Revelation 11:18, I will destroy those who destroy the earth. So be a good steward of God's world. And so many would ask, what can I do? You can vote 3 times a day. Every time you eat, it's a vote. It's a vote either for the environment or it's a vote against the environment. When you pray, you ask for food that will keep us and the planet healthy. We can change the world 1 bite at a time. I always tell the people that I lecture with this, that health is a journey. It starts with a decision, and the right way is not always the easy way. A decision could be a right or a wrong decision, and it is always followed by a step, and another, and another, and another, because health is a journey. 1 Corinthians 10:31 says, so whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. And that includes saving our environment.